Hey Realtor Moms, it's Suzanne Brown with Porchlight, back to talk to you about some real talk for Realtor Moms. And this week I want to talk about vacations and trips. I've had the craziest week. In the last 7 days, I have flown to Florida, done a major cheer competition with my daughter. I was not the one cheering. Gotten a client under contract, gotten a client through a tough, not the toughest, but a tough inspection resolution. Got a new client, buyer under set up for a time, and scheduled a buyer listing or seller listing appointment. So it has been a little bit nutty in the past 7 days. Good nutty, but nutty. And you know what happened? So this trip, my daughter is a competitive all-star cheerleader, and they earned an invitation to this end of year competition at Walt Disney World back in January, maybe it was February. Anyway, they earned this trip. So it has been on my calendar. Actually, it's been on my calendar since last summer that it was a possibility that the first weekend of May, we're going to be gone out of town to Florida for at least 3 to 5 days. So it should come as no surprise then to anyone in the business that, of course, I have lots of free time and not a lot of client activity going on in March. And suddenly at the end of April, everybody wants to start doing business with me. I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong. I am thrilled and excited to help these clients, but that old sort of wives' tale about if you want more business, go on vacation, it seems to hold true. So this is what happened. I already had one client who was under contract and we had submitted an inspection objection, which the sellers were not thrilled about. By the time I went on our trip last Thursday, we were trying to negotiate with the seller for a resolution, and we're not far apart, but really the two sides were not seeing eye to eye. And I told all of my clients, I'm going to be out of town. I will be reachable by email and by text message. I will call you back as soon as I have a moment. But if you try to call me, I probably won't answer because it's a cheerleading competition. It's crazy loud, or I'm going to be in a Disney park, also crazy loud, or some other thing. I'm going to be on a plane. So I'll get back to you. Please be patient. I was very fortunate. Everyone was very patient. At the same time, I had sellers come to me 5 days before I went out of town, and they need to be out of their current living situation by the end of May. So they need to be under contract on a house by Sunday, May 7th. And this is what happens. You try to make a video and your kids are interrupting. So by Sunday, May 7th, what is that? By Sunday, May, whatever, 5th, they needed to be under contract in order to be able to close on a house by May 31st. I am leaving on Thursday. I'm doing everything I can to get them under contract and find the right house by Wednesday. Unfortunately, they hadn't found the right one by Wednesday night. So I had the most amazing coworker, colleague in my office who was willing and able to show them houses over the weekend while I was gone. She took them out Friday night and found them the one. And so I spent the weekend from Thursday to Tuesday, and over that course of that time, we did multiple days of cheerleading competition, which if you've ever been to anything like this or something similar, gymnastics or dance, or they're a lot. It's a lot. It's a long day of hair and makeup and sitting in the stands and waiting for this 2.5 minute routine. But it's a lot of time. The routine itself is only 2.5 minutes, but the surrounding event is pretty phenomenally huge. So I have that to do all day Saturday, all day Sunday, because my daughter was fortunate enough to make it into the finals round. In the meantime, I'm trying to write an offer for the client who found the house they want, deal with the listing agent on that sale, who I think was trying to fool me into thinking they had offers they didn't have, and I called her bluff. Trying to negotiate with a listing agent who we couldn't come to terms on our inspection resolution. And in the middle of all this, taking my daughter to the Disney parks because we're in Walt Disney World. We're in Orlando, so of course we have to go see the Disney parks. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. Things are going well. And I'm checking my email fairly regularly, making phone calls while she's off at practice. Get another email from a lead that I had met about a month ago at an open house who says, hey, we're finally ready to go start looking at houses. Do you have time next Saturday? Now, of course, I am thrilled to hear from them. But again, I'm like, of course. They decide to email me the weekend that I am literally out of town, the one weekend that I've been out of town in months. So I was very excited to hear from them. But the great news was that based on the support of an amazing staff at my office, a transaction coordinator who is such a rock star that she makes me look amazing, and colleagues who I really can trust and count on with my clients, I came back from 5 days out of town with my daughter landing in finals and finishing in the top 15 teams. She was number 14 out of 49 teams in her division. Multiple days at the Disney parks, one new client under contract, one inspection resolution complete, one new buyer listing appointment, and a seller listing appointment because somebody from my sphere of influence had reached out and said, we're thinking of selling as well. So all of that by the time I got back and landed on the ground on Tuesday afternoon. So it was an insane weekend. I'm not complaining. It was all great stuff. But where was all of this activity when I was sitting in my home office in March, right? So of course, they tell you that this happens, but to see it all play out was sort of incredible. And the other thing I did come back with was a cold. You can probably hear it. I went from it being snowy and in the 40s and the 30s here in Denver when we left to 90 degrees and humid and crazy pollens in Orlando, back to in the 30s and snowing here in Denver again today. So it has been a whirlwind. I'm stuffed up. I'm trying to get all my inspections lined up for this new under contract and my market education day set up for this new buyer, as well as this listing appointment preparation. So lots of irons in the fire. I'm so thrilled for all of it. It's been a great month, really, in my business. So I guess, I don't know, schedule a vacation. If you're worried you're not going to have any business, schedule time to go out of town. And that seems to be the magic charm, because suddenly I decide to go out of town. Well, I didn't decide suddenly, but I'm going out of town and suddenly everybody is ready to do the work. So I just find it funny. Have you found that this happens to you? When you have a trip scheduled, do you feel like your business seems to pick up? Or is it just that it feels that way? Or do you have the opposite? Do you feel like you can just go out of town, no problem? When you do, who covers for you? Do you have a transaction coordinator? Do you have an assistant? Do you have a listing, another agent that you partner with in these types of scenarios? How do you handle it? Because I gotta say, this is really my first experience with this particular sort of craziness, and I have to figure out a better system for next time, because I'm sure there will be a next time. And I would love to hear from you guys about what you've done in these situations or what you plan to do in these situations going forward. So, real talk, man. Realtor moms, there really is no such thing as a vacation. And I would have loved to have been able to spend 5 days with my daughter, phone turned off, laptop turned off, and just enjoying all of our time together. But somebody has to pay for the trip. So this was the way it worked out this time. And maybe in the future, we'll be able to do that. But this year, it just didn't work that way. And it was fine. And she understood, of course. And we still got to have a ton of great fun. And I do look forward to doing it again. But I'd love to hear from you. Why do moms in real estate take a vacation? Because that's when their business picks up. All right. Let me know how things are going with you, with Realtor Moms. What challenges are you facing? Let's chat about it. So have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.